All right, welcome back, everybody. Classic has just torn through this group, looking like an absolute beast. This leaves us with GuMiho, Maru, and Reynor. It's going to be Maru versus Reynor here in the losers match. Weird twist of events. Maru picked Protoss. Nobody in the studio knew this was going to happen until it happened. And he got dumpstered by GuMiho. Like, it was cool that he did it. Then you go, oh, that's why you play one race in this game.
Yeah.
You know, even someone like Maru, it's, and I'm not saying his Protoss is bad, but you know, you get what I'm saying. There's a reason why you tend to main a race. I don't know if this is due to wrist injuries.
I mean, I know that Maru's been dealing with like wrist or shoulder injuries for a while, but he looked so good last week in his games in the round of 12 that I feel like maybe it's some combination of just GuMiho being a really tough TVT opponent, and I know that Maru and a lot of these other guys will off race, especially on the ladder, and to great success.
Yeah, well,
and so maybe there's a little bit of hubris.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just thought, I'm going to try something different.
Or maybe he just wants to have fun. Who knows?
So Reynor's going to be going up against him. I want to know, does he pick Protoss again, or does he go Terran? Because, you know, it's one thing to lose a match. And by the way, don't be misled by that graphic. They programmed that in here before the show started, okay? We don't have the...
I would be very surprised if Maru went back to Protoss here especially against Reynor. I think that, you know, his TVZ looked really solid. I believe it was against Rogue, if I'm not mistaken, in the initial group stages. And so I feel like we're probably just going to go right back to that. I mean, I think we're not going to be seeing Maru play Protoss in GSL in the foreseeable future after the way the series against GuMiho went. As amusing as it was, and as much as I would love to see it.
Yeah, I see now in the unit race selection, excuse me, it is Terran. So it's going to be a TVZ. Yeah, let's see what happens, man. Maru versus Reynor. The loser is out of the GSL. The winner will face off against GuMiho in that final match for the final series in the round of 8. It would also be hilarious, by the way, if Maru just beat Reynor and then easily beat GuMiho with Terran. It's like, oh, all right, well.
It's a possibility.
You know, as much as we joked about your Protoss, like, yeah, maybe your Terran's just so good, it's like it doesn't matter. Like, you can actually risk it.
I mean, you know, if he wins, if he advances today and goes to the round of 4, that the casters are going to be asking him heaps of questions about this, and so I'm very curious to hear what Maru has to say. And actually, it didn't even seem like it was that spur of the moment, because we go back to the, you know, at the very start of the show, we had the interviews where like the groups are revealed and the players talk about their potential matchups and that kind of thing. Maru did mention there that he was considering playing Protoss against GuMiho. So it's actually been on his mind for a little bit. I think they pre-record that. I don't know how long before the actual match is played, but it had been on his mind. So it wasn't a completely spur-of-the-moment decision. Of course, I do not think we're going to see Maru play Protoss again today, or just in the future of GSL in general, given the way that went. But
a lot of people excited for Reynor here today. Man, I got to say, guys, we have not had a foreigner win GSL in the 15-plus years we've had of this tournament. Is it 17 years now?
I think it's 15,
no,
right?
15, right?
You didn't do beta
15 or 14.
You didn't do beta stuff, did you? So 2010, because I think the game came out.
No, we had one of them was in the beta.
Oh, was it?
No, I'm 99% sure. I'm sorry, this has all happened so long ago.
Ancient history at this
point. But I
point.
remember we had something. It might have been under a different name, but we had something going on in the beta, because I remember that's how we got a head start in doing this. So, yeah, I mean, it would be so cool to see Reynor advance here. I think this is easily the biggest challenge opponent in GSL is Maru.
Yeah.
He's won so many GSLs, I don't think anybody's ever going to catch up, or if they do, it's going to be years and years before we even get to that point. And I can't even imagine it happening as long as he's still playing, because he's going to be winning GSLs in between then.
Yeah, if GSL was an empire that had to choose a champion in like mono-a-mono combat, it would be Maru. Like 100 times out of 100. This guy just embodies GSL. Most GSL Codes victories by a long shot. Nobody's even close. And this is a guy who basically grew up with GSL. I remember watching him play in his initial GSL games, and he's just a kid. You know, it's
he
young
was a baby,
Maru.
man. Yeah, it was super cute seeing him in interviews and stuff. He's all grown up now. This is 3 Command Center, by the way.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of the build that he did against Rogue, where he went for a really fast, really greedy 3cc opening, and then just brought the hammer down.
Did he go double eBay with that?
Yeah, that was the double eBay game. So it's a little bit different in terms of this being a faster tech as opposed to faster upgrades, but it is similarly greedy. We've had 8rax win a ton of TBZ games, by the way, this far in GSL Coda S. Occasionally, we'll hit these stretches in GSL, especially in TBZ. I feel like the metagame often gets, I mean, stale is the wrong word, but I feel like it gets maybe the most figured out compared to the other matchups like PBT and PBZ, where there's usually a lot more experimentation, a lot more quirky timing attacks. TBZ in general in GSL's history, especially over the past like 5 or so years, feels like one of these matchups where there isn't as much of a variety in terms of opening, and so when we do get one, it's a big treat. And in the past, we had like the CC first, I want to say it was like maybe a 5 or 6 racks play was trending for like an entire year. We saw very few Zerg players actually stop it. And so far in 2025 in GSL, it has been the super fast 3cc 8 racks play.
Yeah, and you know, TVZ, at least for now, it does look very different from TVZ's, you know, a year, 2, 3 years ago. There was a phase where it was like a lot more about like Terran kind of keeps taking the map, and if they can't push and win, like they always have that initial push, right? But if they don't push and win with that, then they play like keep away. They play hide the ball with the Zerg and just take half the map. And the Zerg tries to attack in and you kite and you run away. But we've had patch changes since then. Now it seems like it's a lot more about going for the jugular here as a Terran player, trying to come out here and giving that fatal blow onto the Zerg, closing it out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is just because of the changes we've had in the patch, plus the new maps. I mean, Ghosts costing more supply hindered the strength of the Terran late game, so kind of turtling up like that is a little bit less ideal. By the way, Banshee does have Cloak, so it should be able to get out of the range of the Spore Crawler. Actually, more damage than I was anticipating, as Reynor's going to have to reposition this. I think he thought the Banshee was coming in potentially without Cloak, so a little bit of a scramble there to get the drones all the way back into the center of the mineral line where they're going to be safe. But going back to what I was saying, because Queens are more expensive now, even though the hatcheries, you know, as a consequence of that are also cheaper, just generally the Zerg early game is a little bit weaker, and also the Terran late game is a little bit weaker because of the Ghost changes. So the pendulum has swung a little bit to a more aggressive meta in TVZ, and it's been really fun to watch. But it also seems like it is very challenging for some of these Zerg players to stop these hyper-aggressive, especially like the 3 racks, or the 3 Command Center 8 racks play. It seems so challenging. Rogue lost, I believe, at least one map in every TVZ that he played, 2 and 8 racks off 3cc. And I was talking with Reynor about this actually before the games started today. He was saying, yeah, it's a really strong build. It's very difficult to handle in the current meta, even if you know it's coming.
Well, Reynor's doing a god-tier job of paving the map with creep. The more creep you have between the Terran and your vital bases, the better it's going to be for you. So I think Maru's done a decent job here with just sending Hellions out to try to clean this up, but the creep spread's looking very good. For the time being, Terran's continuing to accumulate, muster up more and more forces here. We're a ways away here from having that push come out. It will be 7 mutas hatching here, and he is going to go for air weapons here. So we're going to go with the very old school and classic TVZ comp of kind of Ling Muta Bane here to try to fight stuff off.
Yeah, I wonder how much he's going to commit to the mutas with this composition. Is this something he's going to keep investing in, or is it going to be really heavy on Ling Baneling on the ground? It's a very fun style.
And,
I think,
you know, the mutas can be used to just try to fly back into the main and buy time for the Terran.
Right.
Some of these timings are so sharp, if you can, like, delay it by 30 seconds, it's a pretty big deal.
All right, well, Reynor is just continuing to expand across the bottom of the map, and now that he's basically taken those 4 bases all the way to the south side of Incorporeal, every future hatchery needs to expand towards the Terran opponent. So things are going to get progressively more difficult here for Reynor to actually gain territory in the center of the map, especially with Maru sitting out hit squads like this one to potentially snipe hatcheries, to try and trade efficiently with the Lings, but more importantly also to clear the creep as actually those mutas behind all of this were going into the main base right now, so they aren't back at home to help intercept this drop, but they were able to get a lot of SCV damage there in the main base. 7 SCVs going down, now this third base also undefended, so even more workers are going to fall. Meanwhile, Maru not really able to find the damage that he wants to find here in the main base of Reynor. He's going to drop once again here at this fourth base. Oh, an excellent focus fire. Good micro with the Queens, taking down that low HP Medevac. Even Transfuses coming in, so only one of them are going to fall. And now that there's a smart separation of forces here with Banelings and Lings in the main base, this harassment from Maru is basically done. And the mutas can basically just come back, reconverge with the army, and clean this up.
So he's going to have this medevac coming back, and that's going to be wiped out. Yeah, I was going to say the interception should be pretty easy. Look, Reynor's maxed out. He's looking to be in great shape. The push hasn't even really started yet. It's actually going to be a later fourth base. So I think Reynor's done a great job. I mean, he's looking very, very strong. We haven't had any like true big engagements, just drops being held here by the Zerg. So the question's going to be, you know, does Reynor maybe have enough to attack in here? Does he want to play keep away for a little bit longer? Nice job there from Maru to deny the drone from getting that hatchery up. But for now, the entire bottom side of the map is under Reynor's control. There's only one more base, which he was about to take before it was denied. And he'll have every base on his side of the map.
Yeah, so we see Reynor, he's going up to 6 bases now. He's getting in the infestation pit for hype tech. He's at 90 drones. He is maxed. He's building a bank. All of these things are great for him. But one of the reasons why he's been able to do this is because he's been skimping a little bit. He's been cutting corners on other sides of the game, especially the upgrades. He only has Muta attack. Maru is about to have +2 infantry weapons and +2 armor. Whereas Reynor, his 1-1 on the ground in melee is maybe halfway done. Yeah, it's just about halfway done. So the upgrade differential right now between the Marines and the Ling Bane is huge. That means that Reynor's going to need to get big connections with these Banelings. The Lings really are not going to cut it against this bio. It has to be the Banelings connecting with the Marines.
I mean, a lot of Banes are being morphed here. Terran has a lot of creep to try to hack and saw their way through. We haven't seen Reynor go in for the big bite yet, but I think we're very close. He's going to set up his angles here with Lings and Mutas over here to the side, the Banes on the bottom, and I think try to basically engulf this area with damage.
Yeah, Reynor actually going for a huge counterattack now with all of these Lings. He's going to rely on the 40+ Banes he has back at home to defend. He's going to come here into the natural expansion, but again, the upgrade differential makes it hard for those Lings to actually connect on those Marines. No, 1-1 just now finished here for Reynor. Oh, but he was able to bait them out. Those Marines actually got completely surrounded right there.
Yeah, with the Mutas coming in here, it's going to be a lot more damage, and Maru's not turning around. He's headed southbound here with his main army. He's pushing over to where there's a lot of Banelings over here. Without tanks present, there's no real way to ever chip that apart and kill it off.
Reynor now once again remaxing, still sitting at 90 drones. He has a huge bank in 2.4K minerals compared to the Maru, who has not even reached max yet, but again, you got to keep those upgrades in mind. Maru, he's been pushing very slowly down towards the bottom left side of the map. And what he's doing is he is getting territory. He is setting up siege tanks. He's even producing additional siege tanks. He is clearing the creep. He is going to make it harder and harder for Reynor to finally get the engagement that he needs. And I feel like once Maru gets 3-3 on the board, that's probably when he's going to pull the trigger on this attack. But slowly, incrementally, you see him just tightening his grip on Reynor here in the bottom left side. That hatchery, there's basically no more creep buffer between that and Terran's army. And I mean, these Ling counterattacks are excellent here for Reynor, especially paired with these Mutas. They're alleviating a lot of the pressure. But I'm scared for Reynor because that 3-3, once Maru finally does pull the trigger, it's gonna be so terrifying tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, Maru is taking a ton of damage back here with the workers. It's very difficult to chase this all down. You can really see, you know, when you don't have turrets layered everywhere, the Mutalisks can just freely roam. That hatchery over there was taken out. I think that's completely acceptable here for Reynor. Maru is still going to have a lot more work to be done here. He is going to go for this other base on the far right, and I think, you know, Reynor should have something, yeah, he does, to try to take this out, and so he's going to save that in just the nick of time.
3-3 now done for Maru, so if there's a window for him to get some damage, it's right now, where he is maxed with, what, 120 army supply, 3-3 to only the +1 infantry weapon, or melee attack here of Reynor, and it looks like Maru, he's setting his sights right now on this 3 o'clock base. That hatchery, very low on HP, just a small force of units going to take that down, and now he's pivoting back towards the center. He needs to find an angle that's going to be difficult for Reynor to come in from all sides. And Maru maybe a little bit strained by all this pressure that Reynor's putting onto him. You see these siege tanks just not really supported here in the front lines. Maru was building these tanks up until a moment ago, so they have been part of the game plan for a while. And now just losing those on the bottom left, it's mostly just going to be Thor and Marine, matter of fact, Marauder pushing down. These Bailings, they're going to be hard-pressed to find good connections here off creep. Maru has done an excellent job of controlling the creeps right here in the bottom left corner of the map, Tasteless.
Yeah, a big attack down here in the bottom left. I got to say, Maru's kind of making it work, man. Reynor does not... Okay, I thought he was going to not attack in there. Reynor does not seem to be confident in fighting the main core army, and he's starting to lose some of these smaller little skirmishes over here. I love the cleanup on the SCVs over here with the Lings. The Mutas eventually pull away, but not without a lot of losses. Nikes connects onto the Banelings, and the depots are going to be torn down here.
I think these are some really smart moves that Reynor is making because he has such a big bank. He's like, why not just alleviate the pressure by throwing groups of unit like this and just trying to further handicap the economy of Maru? But the fact is that Maru, he's staying resilient. And in this situation, I was wondering, maybe he doesn't rebuild these SCVs and just maxes on like 140, 150, 160 supply of army and then goes for a killing blow. He's still trickling the SCVs out, so he's actually looking to stabilize against this. But there is always that double-edged sword of going for this harassment in the late game where, yeah, you killed all these SCVs and you do have a bank, but what happens if Maru, with this massive army supply, 137 on the board right now, what if he takes the decisive fight and you aren't able to remax enough to really deal with remnants of his army, I mean, the firepower here for Terran is just massive.
Okay, he's going to get a pretty good angle. Maru going to be able to shave off a lot of what's left there for the Zerg. 36 SCVs down, but he actually has 59 to boot. So, I mean, he's still got an incredible engine to develop here behind it. When I look at the map, I feel like Reynor's losing this. Some of the fights from Reynor have been exciting, but the reality is Maru is leaning so far, kind of squishing Reynor in this position. Another hatchery goes down. I don't feel like Reynor can get a base up anywhere. I think Maru can basically crush, play keep away, and then pull back out again like we just saw here.
Yeah, and so now the problem for Reynor is going to be pretty soon. If he can't secure this base in the bottom left and the base at the 3 o'clock, if they keep getting sniped like this, he's going to run out of gas. He does have the 4K mineral bank, but only 1K gas. The gas guys are in the main base and the natural expansion. They're probably going to start running out of gas pretty soon. And Maru can basically just keep entering the fight like this, micro back, off creep, focus down all of these units, and yeah, you're stimming, you're losing some HP. These counterattacks from Reynor have been excellent. They've gotten a lot of damage done. Even I think this planetary is going to fall. But for Reynor, if he can't get one of these bases secured in the bottom left or the 3 o'clock, there is the chance that he runs out of steam. It's just the pressure that he keeps throwing back onto Maru. It keeps giving him all of this breathing room. It's this very delicate dance that Reynor is doing to try and stay alive. One misstep right here, if Maru is able to just clean up one of these run-bys and collapse on these expansions and deny the mining there from Reynor, Zerg could be in a lot of trouble. But Reynor has just been so active in so many different sections of the map that Maru really has never been able to hit that stride besides sniping a couple of bases.
Big Ling counterattack comes in again. I think it's still possible for Reynor to take this. I mean, he's got the bank, right? If he can push up here and take this base out, this one just up here, and keep the infantry busy over there, yeah, the damage is out too fast. If he could push it here even more, maybe he's got a shot. It seemed like for a while Reynor was making this, Maru was making this work, but now the damage on the ground might just be too much from Reynor.
I think the economic bleeding is now finally starting to catch up to Maru.
Yeah, he's down to 42 workers where Reynor's been at 81. He's been, between 81 and 100, I think, for pretty much this whole game. So, even if he's losing bases, he's still getting resources mined, so he's still able to crank out quite a bit. Some of these bases are actually super saturated, so those are workers that were evacuated from earlier destroyed bases and haven't been redirected onto new minerals.
Yeah, and one of the things for why Reynor is doing a lot better now than he was just a moment ago in terms of these trades specifically is that he has bought himself so much time, so much breathing room that he's been able to close the gap on the upgrades. Maru had 2-2 when Reynor didn't even have +1 melee and +1 carapace yet. the upgrade differential was huge, but now everyone is fully upgraded, and so for Reynor, he's getting a lot more value out of these units. Yes, Maru is still finding angles, like taking down this expansion here in the center of the map, but Reynor's been doing a lot more of a, much better job of actually getting damage done with attacks like this one. I mean, these are even more SCVs going down. Oh, some really fancy micro right there, garrisoning and then ungarrisoning the SCVs in the planetary to dodge the bailing shots. Maru, he is feeling the pressure on these bases here in the center. It is not just Reynor who's having a hard time gathering from the center of the map.
You know, he's got so much damage on the board that, you know, Maru has to pick up or lose a command center. If Reynor can just loop around with even the smallest counterattack of Lings and or Banes and hit that 12 o'clock, maybe even like 1 o'clock base. Oh, I speak of the devil. All right, he's going to move in with that right now. And I don't know. I think Maru's going to be pretty hard-pressed to try to stay viable in this game. You know, his 3 main bases are going to mine out. We're deep enough into this game where those areas are going to dry up. And while Reynor's lost a lot of bases, he's still kept enough where he's got resources he's been stoking in. He's at 2.5K minerals, 1.2K gas. So that's a lot. I mean, the gas here for Maru he can spend in the blink of an eye. Not the case here for Reynor.
So many ultras right now, just huge connections on those Marauders, and you know, for Maru, I'm wondering if he's ever going to hit max supply again. He's sitting at only 34 workers. Yeah, he's at 180, but there's just so much coming in right now. These ultras, even with minimal support from Lings on the ground, able to take some good fights. Now, they are going to have to micro away, retreat from that huge concave that Maru had. But Reynor, I feel like he's just not running out of steam. He's been building momentum ever since that he finally caught up on upgrades. It's like he unlocked his full potential. He secured these bases in the center of the map. He's got those extra Vespene geysers, so no longer is he worried about potentially running out of gas. He's further fleshing out his tech tree. He's got a second Spire. He's adding in Corruptors, either to take down, you know, the starport units of Terran or potentially even go into Broodlords later on in the game. Whereas Maru is really just struggling to even mine at this point. 31 SCVs in total and only just now resaturating the 9 o'clock expansion.
Basically, Reynor's winding up for the killing blow here. He's going to move in. He's got the ultras. I mean, you could try to stutter step micro all day. Oh, God, the Liberators are actually kind of crazy here. Can these Banes actually get through? It's a bit of a log jam.
Yeah, but they finally get through. Baneling's now looking for the big connections here on the Marines and the Marauders. Oh, they are running so fast, but the fungal is massive, coming in for the flanking infestor. Critical damage being dealt here to Maru. GG is called, and Reynor with some flashy control. He survived immense pressure from Maru by just counterattack after counterattack. He was able to overcome this huge upgrade differential and navigate what was really a very difficult mid-game where, as Zerg, you need to expand towards the Terran at the 3 o'clock in the center of the map. He was able to do it. He was able to weather the storm despite even losing the creep spread basically all the way up to his front door. That was a sick game. Reynor is playing some really cool ZBT.
You know, it's impressive. He just stuck with that tech. You know, one of the things about Ultralisk Ling Bane is like, the Terran can stim and run away, and I think Widow Mines are devastating, especially if they connect on those Banelings. But, you know, you're going to lose your command center. You're going to lose the workers. And Reynor just had enough of the map. He was able to lash out, and to the point where Maru was mined out at those bases. And with that final blow, and especially that, it was the perfect fatality ender, right? The fungal on the last group of units to erase any ability to kite. Great closer there. We're going to go to ley lines now for map number 2. And see who's going to be eliminated, either Maru or Reynor.
All right, Maru spawning as the blue Terran in the top right, Reynor the red Zerg in the bottom left. One map win away from eliminating Maru from the GSL here on the round of 8. I see Maru
rolling that shoulder.
Yeah, it's a point of tension for him. He said before that he's focusing a lot on preparing for EWC and preparing for GSL. These tournaments mean a lot to him, but it's difficult playing through an injury. He's even skipping out on competing in other tournaments as a result to it, just trying to keep his form. But I mean, it's just, you play at the level of Maru. I mean, think about, what, 15 plus years of practice to be a top player in the game.
Yeah, world
It takes
class.
a toll.
It does. It does. I mean, injuries come. I've had my own issues with injuries in my wrists. Had to take a long time off as well. But, you know, let's see what he can do. Just 2 more days to try to play through this. Probably plenty of time to try to rest up. I want to see if he's going to play in the next season at GSL as well here. We might find out in the interviews here as well how the conditions of his wrists and hands, or the rationale for picking Protoss back there. So, you know, I don't know if anything crazy is going to happen in the early game. I don't know if Reynor would try to go for, like, let's say, you know, what Rogue's done, where he goes Roach Ravager and tries to smash the Terran. That seems to, if it's not Rogue doing it tomorrow, it seems to be pretty ineffective. Reynor wanted to play kind of an honorable Zerg game, right? He went for the classic comp of Ling, Baneling, Macro, and it looks like he's actually going to catch this Overlord. This Overlord can't get over the smoke, right?
Reynor is baiting this out with 6 Lings tasteless.
Oh my God.
He's like, hey, I got this
It's
Overlord
a
over
trap.
here.
Oh no,
Lift
my
your
supply.
Yeah, lift your barracks.
Not.
Oh, I love this move by Reynor.
He's going to block. He's going to block. He's going to block.
Yeah, he's coming in. Maru doesn't realize that there's just drones coming in behind this. Oh, he's actually not even going to get the Marines. I cannot believe both Marines survived this. That was such a cool play by Reynor to move in with the Overlord. He knows that Maru loves to, after that second Marine is done, lift up the barracks and go for the kill, and he tried to punish him for that.
Great
He tried
setup.
to block the barracks from getting back into the wall and from building the add-on. He tried to kill those early Marines. Behind it, 6 Roaches in production. So the early game, it wasn't exactly what Reynor wanted. He wasn't able to get those Marines. He wasn't able to delay the barracks. But I love the idea because he's trying to kill Maru right now with this push.
It's crazy. I was talking about how he was like an honorable Zerg in the last game. This is a real tactical, brainy opener that he's doing this time around. So he's basically injured the Marines. He's slowed down everything for Terran. There's Roaches inbound. If he can go around, he's going to try to draw the Hellion back. It's working. Oh my God.
Wow.
This is some big brain stuff. So he's letting the Lings kind of chase this around, but the Roaches just destroy Hellions. Hellions can't really fight them. They don't do enough damage. He's even playing hide and seek with some of the Lings. He's got the Roaches so close. He's making Ravagers, by the way.
Yeah, Maru has
Look at
no
this.
idea.
He's doing such a good job.
Yeah, the Hellion's still chasing, and now finally the Roaches are going to come in. Behind this, Reynor is droning, but there is a big opportunity for him to get damage done. Kill this depot, force a liftoff, get these add-ons killed, slow down the machine that is Maru. Already one Ravager is done. That's going to be joining the forces here at the front lines very soon. These 4 Roaches just focusing down the SCVs. Take any damage that you possibly can. A lot of those Marines already injured from the initial engagement.
Dude, they're so low.
This is good damage here for Reynor.
The bunker's like halfway done. Good micro here by Reynor. He's going to pull this away, and he actually loses the targeting on that.
Yeah, behind all of this, Reynor has been able to take a worker lead.
He's going to lift.
Oh, lifting.
It's kind of a weird moment.
Yeah, decides to land it back down. Oh, finally with that Cyclone able to kill the Ravager.
And I think this is going to end here. The tank's going to be out soon.
Yeah, but very nice early game here for Reynor. And just think about how much more powerful this could have been if those Marines actually went down and the Lings were able to stop that barracks. I mean,
it would have been all about just killing off that bunker, you know, at that point in time.
Just very crafty early game build here from Reynor, showing a lot of range.
There's some counterplay here. You know, Roaches, they're slow, clunky units.
That range
and so with the medevac, they do just get punished pretty easily, especially with the Cyclone.
Those Ravagers, although they are quite squishy, they have pretty good DPS.
A little bit of miss micro here by Maru.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky.
So what does he actually have to fight this now? We see drones being pulled away. He realizes these can't be allowed to stay over here.
Yeah, there's no Ling speed just yet. It's about a third of the way done. It's mostly just Queens. I think we have at least, we have 4 in total. I was going to say it's surely not just these 3 Queens on the front line here. As Reynor's mostly just been droning up behind this. And Maru recognizes that. He's taking a 3rd command center now. He's going into Banshees. So things are going to mostly normalize here. I feel like Reynor, with that opening push, had he gotten those Marines, would probably be in a very advantageous position. As it is right now, things a lot more even than they otherwise would be. I mean, worker counts effectively equal, 44 to 43. Reynor probably going to surpass Maru in short order here as he gets a couple of drone rounds in with his new expansion set up. But there is potential here for Maru to get some damage done with this Banshee. Cloak is done. This Spore Crawler only about 75% complete, so a couple of drones are going to fall.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job getting back into this game. He's killed a decent number of drones so far. The Banshee's still kind of a headache to deal with. He needs to be careful not to overextend. Oh my God.
That transfuse was so cool.
That was crazy. So, Starport not landed. A little sloppy back there for Maru. Third CC is done. To be honest, I had not looked in his base or thought about it since the counterattack had come in here. We got 1-1 upgrades coming here from Reynor. So this game could end up in the same kind of place we saw, at least tech-wise, in the previous game.
Yeah, I really think it's up to Maru to decide how he wants this game to go behind this. In the previous game, he opted to go for a relatively fast fourth command center. I mean, relative to the prevalent 8-racks play that we've been seeing in GSL thus far this season. But I feel like in this game here, given that you've gotten a couple of drone kills, you saw how delayed that third hatchery was here for Reynor. You were able to effectively parry the Roach Ravager push without taking too much damage, only a couple of SCVs. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like an 8-racks play coming in from Maru, despite the fact that the third command center wasn't that quick, just because Reynor's economy also is a little bit far back. It's a relatively low eco game here as far as TVZ is concerned.
Okay, an unload over here. How prepared is Reynor for this? This is the oh-so-important fourth base. Dive in here with the Marines. Nice transfuses. Keeps those queens alive long enough. Ends up doesn't drop a single one. Medevac's pretty low on HP. The Banshee's coming here for the side swipe and then decide to try to target down this Evo. Ooh. Is there a transfuse available? It feels like it's a long ways away from killing that.
Yeah, another skirmish down in the 6 o'clock position happening off screen.
1-1 about to finish.
All right, so 1-1, I believe is finished now for Maru. For Reynor, it's about complete. So there should be about a maybe 20, 25 second window where Maru will have a +2 advantage over the +1 here of Zerg. And I believe on the production tab, we also saw 3 more barracks. So no command center. This is going to be a lot of pressure coming in from Maru. And now Reynor might be paying the price a little bit for that early aggression because his economy hasn't had the time to ramp up the way that he normally would. And the army supplies really tell that story. It is 73 to 50 right now in favor of Maru, and it's not going to be the 8-racks parade push. We actually have a 4th command center coming in. But even with that 4th command center, this is going to be hard for Reynor to stop. Losing that 4th hatchery means losing a lot of larvae with a Ling Baneling composition. And Maru, I mean, he is just in control of this side of the map right now, and he is knocking on the doorstep of this third base.
Yeah, the damage is starting to mount, and it's looking very bad for Reynor. This could very well be one of these games where the Zerg just isn't able to get where the Zerg needs to be strong enough to take the Terran on later. The damage is just continuing to add up. The Banelings are going to come in here, but it's an easy pickup for these Medevacs. Oh! He lost a decent amount. Can he unload back over here? Meanwhile, another drop coming here from the side.
Yeah, Reynor very wisely already having units in position to deal with that, anticipating Maru's next move. Some very good control here by Reynor, just with a scrappy defense of these drops and this push over by the third base. Keep in mind, he's kind of fighting with one hand behind his back right now because the army supplies are just so far in favor of Maru. Now here we have Reynor perhaps going for a surround on this push all the way down on the bottom side, perhaps going for a counterattack. We're gonna have to wait and see. But it feels like the machine that is Maru's army is just really starting to gather some steam. Finally, we do have these forces converging over here on the bottom side. They're able to clean up and unseat Maru from this position, but the natural expansion of Reynor is a little bit exposed. These Marines trading relatively cost efficiently.
Wow.
Reynor knows he's just out of steam, and he is just not able to keep up pace. And I mean, my mind just goes back to that initial Overlord. I think if it went to Reynor's game plan, that Overlord would probably survive with like a couple of hits left from those Marines. A couple of hits left from those Marines. He would have been able to kill those 2 initial Marines, cause a lot of problems on the front door. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. The Overlord went down. Both Marines somehow miraculously survived those 6 Lings attacking them and even got behind the wall. And then the Roach follow-up, although it was a good play there from Reynor, I love to see it. It just wasn't able to get the damage that he needed, and I feel like Maru was even further ahead from that position than even we realized, because the momentum building from there with Maru's economy and army just developing at scale compared to Reynor's was just like at least one tempo ahead. Reynor really had no answer for the pressure because his economy just wasn't in a position where he could fund the defense. Yeah,
it was one of those losses. You know, it was like a stake to the heart of the Zerg. Oh, well, never mind. Forget my... I thought I had some more time to fill, guys. I was about to wax poetic, but it's too late. We're going into this next game. Reynor versus Maru. Who will survive and who will be eliminated? Let's find out. All right, Maru in the bottom left, Reynor in the top right. Yeah, you know, what I was trying to say before we had to just, you know, outro that. It was one of those games, you know, you just end up stopping the Zerg right in that sweet spot, right on that fourth base or fifth base, before they get, you know, too big to fail, too vast to conquer. And, you know, the question is going to be, how does Reynor play around that? Now, we got to also point out the brilliance of what Reynor did in the start of game 2, and the fact that it didn't maybe get that kind of jaw-breaking damage in there is sort of why Maru was able to get back into the game. You know, he went for this fake out. By the way, you caught this, State. I was kind of just like ruminating about, you know, the whole matchup and how Reynor went for Muta's last game. But, you know, the 6 Slings coming in there and the Overlord to bait out the 2 Marines. He didn't perfectly surround the Marines. It didn't kill them. He did conceal the Roach attack pretty nicely. But even though he did a lot of damage with the Roach Ravagers, with a Medevac and a Cyclone and Marines, you can actually chase that back and kill it. And then there was just sort of this endless pressure from Maru. I almost wonder if it's better for Reynor to open up, you know, with kind of a milquetoast, generic, you know, vanilla ice cream, Cheerios for breakfast, Zerg opener, like just, I'm trying to macro, I'm trying to play safe and play a clean game, and then make sure his mid game is super covered and go into late game again.
I don't think that's going to happen, Tasteless. We have a gas pull opening from Reynor, and
so
he's
still
still harvesting gas. He's getting Ling speed very quickly. And I'm pretty sure it's 2 drones still on the Vespene Geyser. Reynor is out for blood. He wants to kill Maru. He does not want to go into a late game scenario. I'm wondering which tech choice it's going to be here.
Well, we're moments away from finding out. The first Reaper is going to come up. We need to see what this Reaper can find, by the way. When Zerg's doing something a little sneaky, it's important that, you know, the Zerg denies the Reaper from sealing it, that the Zerg plays a game that looks pretty ordinary, that looks sort of run-of-the-mill, so to speak. And right now, there is nothing, I guess, suspect yet out here.
Yeah,
does
Maru,
get the nade in there. It does see the drones mining gas.
Maru might have clicked that Vespene Geyser and realized how much has been mined. But I'm so intrigued by what Reynor is doing. Okay, it's a very fast lair is the choice here. Now, I'm a little bit taken aback by this opening here from Maru, or from Reynor. I feel like I haven't seen something it's exactly like this before.
Yeah. Well, you know, could it be a Nidus? We've had a lot of 3 command center plays.
Maybe. I mean, it's worth noting, okay, it's Overlord speed coming in. This is really crazy what Reynor is doing. By the way, we have a 3rd command center here for Maru.
Yeah. Hold on.
Hellions getting a reactor out. 2nd barracks is in production. Do we have more queens in production? No, it's just Lings right now. And Maru, he's playing this very conservatively. The Reaper is going to get surrounded, but Maru, he knows that something is in the cards here. He was keeping those Hellions at the top of the ramp because he was anticipating a move like that coming in from Reynor. Are we just going to have Overlords just drop Lings in the main base of Maru? Like, what is this? I mean, 2 Overlords morphing now. Are we going to have the Queens and the Lings just go straight? I feel like we've seen this in GSLs a long time ago, but usually on maps with very close air distance. I haven't seen something like this on Dogbuck. All right, here we go, Tasteless.
Well, a love letter to the ladder experience.
Yeah, for sure. 2 more morphing all the way over there on the left side. Maru spots this basically as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, so
Fucker's immediately getting thrown down. 2 of them in the natural expansion. We'll see if he builds one in the main base. Now, I don't think he realizes exactly how high octane this aggression is going to be, because there's also 2 full overlords of Lings going into the main base of Maru, where there is no defense at all. Now we do have the full wall in here for Maru at the front, engineering base, because they add in HP a little bit faster than the other units, and now all the units dropping here right in the natural expansion, Tasteless.
The SCVs are pulled. The wall in with the E-base is blocking out a considerable amount of these Lings. It's a hard fight to call. The Lings are going to spill in. The creep goes down. The Queens are just continuing to do so much damage. I think Maru might be dead.
Oh my god, I think Reynor has done it. What a crazy build here that we didn't expect, that Maru didn't expect, and Maru eliminated in the round of 8. Reynor is going to be going to the final match against GuMiho. He had one more trick up his sleeve. Wow, what a play there from Reynor. Oh man, some creative builds in this series, some great resilience in game number 1. And in 2025, we have Maru knocked out in the round of 8.
Yeah, and you know, I gotta really commend Reynor for the way he handled that. You know, when you see the drop spotted, a lot of times at pro level, StarCraft 2, you know, seeing a drop halfway across the map is enough, but he didn't know about that second drop. The fact, like you were saying, State, it was so high octane. At the same time, when the eBay wall came up, which by the way, that is the answer. A double eBay wall set up, a double bunker to ensure safety, maybe even a triple bunker is the way to do it. You know what's so smart about what he did? Because I think in some games you would have dropped the main and then also dropped, you know, and attacked the entrance. He just dropped everything and snowballed that damage. Crazy stuff. Guys, we're not done yet. Reynor versus GuMiho is coming up next. We will be right back.